Good morning, everyone. How you doing today?
Good. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Mary, and everyone out there.
Good morning.
We're here on another Saturday morning, and today we're just going to talk. We're just going to talk. We've been talking about nutrition for a while, and we examined all the things that we should know for good nutrition, fats, carbohydrates, proteins. We didn't get into the nitty-gritty about vitamins because really everybody needs a little bit different, and depending on what you're eating, you know, I would say depend on your doctor to examine your blood work and figure out if you're deficient in those areas. But last week we talked about diets, and everybody's been on a diet, or nearly everyone's been on a diet, because we have a problem with our self-image in this country, and everybody thinks they're fat, even when they're not, right? I mean, my daughter's obsessive and she weighs all of 100 pounds, I think. And so, but she doesn't diet, but she's into nutrition and health. And I think that's where we have to be. I think we can't be playing this yo-yo game of I'm fat, I lose weight, I'm thin, I go back to eating the way I used to, not eating in general, but because we all got to eat. So today we're going to talk about dieting pitfalls and what gets in the way of being successful when you actually want to lose weight. And Mary, we're going to put you on the spot, and hopefully we'll have some people join us because, well, we were chatting, and we thought we'd like to get back to the idea of having a conversation. Kathy and I have been like researching and preparing all the time, and we tend to just rattle on and become a lecture. And I'd rather it be more interactive with people. So if you are watching on Facebook, consider joining us. Are we wearing these colors? Okay, I just found it. Good. And joining in on the conversation. And if you're too shy to join on Zoom, then by all means, throw some comments up there and get involved with the conversation. And hopefully we'll have some other people join us because we all have something to say about diets and why they have been successful or how they've failed. Today, we're going to talk about how to avoid that failure. But first, what's in your diffuser? You got something going today, Kathy?
I did not get mine started because I ran down here and I went, ah. So I didn't start it down here, but oh well.
I start mine the night before. I load it the night before
and then
Saturday,
just turn it on, yeah.
Just so I can just push the button and I know it's in there. Otherwise, if I left it, I would be the same point at the same point. Like, I'm too busy in hair and makeup before the show. Mary, you got yours going?
Mine's going. That's one of the things I did this morning. Fill all the diffusers and get them going.
Orange and cinnamon?
Orange and cinnamon and lemongrass and the other ones.
I've got today orange and cinnamon.
Oh, I love that.
I love it. And it's strong and it's beautiful. And one of the reasons is because when you're on a diet, you get cravings. And cinnamon is one of those that can really be helpful in a diet. Cinnamon, the Young Living cinnamon, is something that you can take internally. So you can make a little capsule. And I have a recipe for a sugar, what does it do? It's a sugar shock. Like if you've had too much sugar, it helps even out your blood sugar that I can post and share. I got that from Dr. Doug Corrigan, who he's a doctor, and he's not a medical doctor, but he's a scientist, and he's done so much work on this. So I believe when he does the research and present it, that it has some merit. So that's where I got this recipe of these different oils that are very helpful for evening out your blood sugar when you've had a whoops. But cinnamon's really good. I'm going to share the screen because I threw that up. I think this is it. Let's see. So this is what I found on cinnamon. This is Natural Living Family with Dr. Z and Mama Z. And it used to be Dr. Eric Z, used to be the website, but they changed it because Mama Z got involved. So naturallivingfamily.com. I have a newsletter that comes to me every Saturday, and they offer helpful hints about different oils, but also about healthy living and oils of the Bible and God and all kinds of stuff. So very helpful. You just have to go through it with, I don't know, a grain of salt. I don't know, because sometimes they're all about selling something. And a lot of these people are, you know, they get a good following and then they're selling their book or they're selling a line of supplements or something like that, which shouldn't negate the quality of the information. And so that's why I offer this. So they talk about cinnamon and diabetes, and it helps to modify the glycemic control in your body. So it also can, they've observed in recent studies, some pancreatic protection, and the pancreas being our center for insulin regulation. And you know, for diabetes, reaching and maintaining a healthy weight is important. And for everyone else, protecting that pancreas can be helpful in preventing diabetes. So you can diffuse this, or you can actually put a drop or two in something that you're drinking. Kathy, you put that in your coffee sometimes?
I do. I have cinnamon in my coffee right now.
Yeah. Or you can make a capsule, and there's a couple of other oils that are really helpful for that too. Is that what this is about? 7 essential oils for weight loss, but I have stuff about blood sugar that I can share with you later. So I just wanted to show you, Mary, how like you're doing a great thing besides loving the smell, that that it's got some therapeutic benefits too. So anyway, here we go. Who's been on a diet? What works? What doesn't work? What's something that, is there anything that you have, if you had advice for somebody going on a diet, what would you tell them? Like, what would you say? This is the number one thing you have to be careful about. Or, and I don't want to put pressure by saying it's the number one. I'm just saying the first thing that comes to your mind. What's something that, you know, you have to watch out.
You know, for me, it's just, I don't think, you know, when you restrict your calorie intake too much and with the wrong items. So you don't want to go way overboard and have too many things that you're eating, too many high caloric things, or too low of a calorie thing. I read somewhere, and I didn't put down the site, that if you're under 1,000 calories a day, you're really not helping yourself at all. So you should at least be above 1,200, and maybe to lose weight, depending on your size though too. So it's not just all about calories.
Well, it's, I think the idea that you are getting at is like the mentality is the fewer calories, the better. And then I'll lose weight faster, but at what price? Now you're not going to get the nutritional benefit. Excuse me, that coffee came up. So if you're just counting calories and you're like, okay, I've only had 800 calories today, and you've had, you know, 8 of those little snack packs by Nabisco, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're going to get sick before you lose weight, or maybe both, but you're going to be a sickly skinny. I don't know. So you have to make sure that you're getting all of your fat, carbs, and protein to balance it out, right?
Right. And I think back when I was in health class in high school, and they talked about the cavemen, and about, you know, during the time when everything was good, where they can hunt and gather and find all their food, they ate and ate and ate. But then when it was time for, you know, the time of year where they couldn't do the hunt and gathering, depending on, you know, what climate it was, I think that was a problem as well. But then during the good times, their body stored all that fat,
Right.
no matter what. And then during the bad times, your body supposedly draws on that. But that isn't always true if, you know, you're too hungry. Because when you're too hungry, I think your body is trying to store everything that goes in your mouth,
Mhm.
you know, getting to that point of you're retaining all that instead of burning it off or
Well,
using it.
yeah, it messes with your metabolism, right? Because if you eat
Mhm.
too few calories, or if you don't eat regularly, and this is up for debate because there are intermittent fasting diets that have been successful for people, and yet other people say you have to eat breakfast, right? And so, but when you reduce your calories so much, then your body thinks it's starving and it holds on to the fat stores instead of burning them, and your
Exactly.
metabolism slows down. So you have to really find that balance in good healthy food and just not eating a ton of it, I guess. Right.
Right.
Oh, um, Mary, anything that comes to mind for you?
Someone told me they were going on a diet, I would say, don't do it. Because a
Okay,
diet,
show's
no,
over.
a diet means, in my opinion,
Yeah.
a diet means you're going on a diet, but then you eventually can come off it.
Right.
So, so I would say, which is Weight Watchers thing, or was at one point, make a lifestyle change.
Mhm.
That's not going to end.
Right.
Of course, I don't listen to myself very much. Great advice.
It's
I just don't
hard.
follow it. So, but that would be my thing, because, and don't deprive yourself. If you're going to a wedding, have a piece of that wedding cake. I mean, don't have a huge piece, but have a piece,
Right.
Right.
I think
you
you
know.
I think you give yourself treats, but you're stingy with them. And
Mm.
I think there's another one, like if you go to that wedding and you have a piece of cake, and I mean you're served a piece of cake and you think I'm gonna take a few bites, and then you wolf down the whole thing, that's okay. Forgive yourself. What you have to avoid doing is saying, well, I blew it now, so I'm gonna go have another piece of cake and I'm gonna get another drink, and you just go, pooh, I'll just blow it, really good. So you give you don't forgive yourself and then you totally blow it. So you have to be careful about that. So yeah, eat the cake,
Mm.
but don't eat the whole cake. And I have to be careful about that too, because yesterday I did that sort of thing, not with cake, but I was starving and I was in the grocery store. And that's, of course, number one rule is don't go when you're hungry. But I was looking for something healthy. So I found these granola bites, and they're not what I was looking for healthy wise, but I thought, okay, this isn't going to hurt me. But I could have eaten the whole package if I let myself, and it was 4.5 servings, and I probably had 2 or 3. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't have bought those, right? I think that's a dieting pitfall, and I'm not sure it's on our list, Kathy, of
No, but I think you're right, Linda, because I think there's other things that I have seen at the store that are presenting themselves, if you don't read the label,
right,
they're presenting themselves as either a diet food or a healthy snack or a healthy whatever. And then you go, okay, this is great. And you grab it and you throw it in your cart and you get out into the car and you're eating it, right? Because
right,
like you said, if you go to the grocery store hungry and then it's not really healthy after you've eaten it and wolfed it down. You look at the package and you can see how many calories, how many fat grams, how much sodium, how much, so they're truly not everything that is at the store, even though it says healthy, whatever, or
they want
diet.
you to buy it. That's the only reason it
Right,
says that.
exactly.
They're
It may say low sugar, but what else is it loaded with? So, going back to
right.
when you did the presentation on reading the label,
Mhm.
so
Right.
important to read the label.
Yeah. And
Mm.
that goes to another point with diets, you know, if we're talking diets, I mean, Mary got to our point right to the beginning that it's really a lifestyle change. But even in a lifestyle change, some of these things are going to affect you because you're still trying to lose weight while you start a new lifestyle change.
No.
But one is to remove temptation. So if you can't control yourself, don't buy it. Don't bring it in your house. And we were doing some Friday happy hours, and I was buying some things for other people, and I store them in the garage and in plastic, just keep them away from us. But you know, my husband knows where they are, and so do I. So every once in a while you go and you grab the bag of tortillas, which aren't terrible, but you know, that's not the way we are trying to eat. So don't bring the temptation in if you don't have any willpower, because I think we talked a while back at that there is no such thing as willpower. Like you're going to eat it if you are hungry. And how many people get to that stage where you're ravenously hungry and you would eat the first thing you found? And so don't let that first thing you find be something that's going to totally
Drive you nuts.
like make you eat more than you wanted to eat, because those things are addictive. That's what salt and oil and fats and alcohol and sugar, all that stuff is very addictive. Sugar is like the next cocaine, really. That's what it's been. The addictive qualities of sugar
Right.
is the same as cocaine. So there are people who are addicted to sugar. And I want to say that I am trying to break that addiction. I think I'm been very successful because I haven't indulged that way. And I don't miss it a whole lot. But we do have a little Russell Stover's sugar-free candy after dinner. And that kind of satisfies my sweet tooth, you know, and then some fruit, stuff like that. So I'm like coming out of it, which is good, but don't tempt yourself, right?
Exactly.
We have one person is watching today, but I don't know if it's one of you, if you guys are on. But
Yeah, that is me.
if
because
you're
I was-
watching and you have a dieting pitfall, chime in, write it down.
Yeah, I have it opened up on Facebook as well to look to see if
Oh,
there's.
so you're the one
questions
person
coming
that's
in
watching.
from the one person.
Okay, Kathy. Yeah, I found like 6 different websites that had all of these, like their lists of dieting pitfalls, and a lot of them were different. Like you would think that you'd see the same thing over and over and over again, but we probably have at least 30 different things here that
Mhm.
and some of them are a little bit repetitive and some of them are not. And
And
some of
some
them
are just related to each other in some way, shape or form, you know, but
I think the first one on our list, not the peanut people, because I don't know if the peanut people were just selling peanuts. Focusing only on scale weight, right? And making sure, like thinking that all of your success is related to the scale only. Because the scale is going to fluctuate daily. And you probably noticed that if you weigh yourself in the morning and then maybe you weigh yourself later in the evening, you're going to be heavier, right?
Mhm.
And so I always weigh myself first thing because I know I'll be lightest then after I've had my morning poop. And so, but if you just focus on that and the scale's not moving, but you're working, you know, you're exercising, you're eating right, you have to pay attention to what you feel like and what your clothes feel like, and maybe measurements, like take your measurements and see,
Mhm.
because if you're somebody who was not very active and then you start getting active and maybe you start building muscle weighs more than fat. So your scale might not move, but you might be changing your body. And so don't just focus on the scale. And Kathy, you say don't weigh yourself every day, but I do.
I think the reason why I say that is because if I go to, okay, Saturday morning, bright and early, or maybe even in the middle of the week, before I eat my breakfast and start exercising, because even when you exercise, if you weigh yourself before you exercise and after you exercise, you're going to see a difference, but it might be a little bit of a gain rather than you
Right.
thinking it's going to be less. It's not. It's usually more. And I'm not saying 3 pounds more or 4 pounds more, but it is a little bit more. So yeah, I weigh myself once a week, usually on a Saturday morning, because I don't go out and binge on Friday night. I don't go out drinking. So that would also, if you're going out to dinner the night before and you're in a restaurant, typically those meals are a little bit higher in sodium. So you're going to be retaining more water, and that may
Right.
hold on till the next morning as well. So, if you're just in your normal routine, set one day in the morning that you get on the scale, I think that helps too. And like you said, if you're exercising and gaining muscle weight, it's the percent body fat that you're looking to lose more than the total number on your scale.
Right. Moving those things into muscle and away from fat. So
And muscle, is better at burning calories than fat is, right?
yep. Yeah. What else? What else is a dieting pitfall? I think exercise always fits into a diet. If you're trying to lose weight, you do have to look at your activity level. You can lose weight without exercise, but I don't know that it's as good, because you want to build up your muscles. You want to be strong and lean, not just skinny and scrawny, right? So that exercise helps with that. It all comes down to calories in, calories out. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're eating right, the exercise is going to help you burn more calories. And so your calories out are going to be larger, therefore you're going to start losing weight. And I really have noticed a difference for me doing that, because I'm lazy, and I would get in the pool and I'd swim and I'd be like, oh, it says I've been in this pool swimming for 40 minutes. That's good, right? But I never got my heart rate going. I never really sweat. I mean, last year I was swimming and really swimming, but now this year I'm like swimming, so I'm not burning a lot of calories. I mean, some, but I'm certainly not getting my heart rate up. And so now that I'm going to go back to, I've said that several weeks in a row, that my FitnessPal app is amazing for me. It has made the biggest difference. And I think there's some of our pitfalls will cover some of those bases, but one of them is that it tracks my exercise. I can put in and say, okay, so this morning before I got out of bed, I started my stretching routine. So my stretching routine, I'm thinking I'm gonna, like, if I'm not too embarrassed to do this, I may make a video of my routine to share with people, because I think it's really helpful. It's not something that's a weight loss thing. It's not going to make my weight loss any better, but what it does is it stretches my body so I want to move and I can move, and my back doesn't hurt and my neck isn't stiff. So like the first 10 minutes of it, I'm laying in bed and stretching my legs or doing bridges or pelvic thrusts, some sit-ups kind of thing. And then I sit on the edge of the bed and I lean over, I stretch my back a different way. I stretch my hamstrings. And then I do a whole thing with my upper shoulders, arms, neck, head kind of thing. And then finally I do more legs and hanging straight over and stretching the backs of my legs and my back, and kind of doing a modified yoga, kind of curling up and, doing this kind of stuff. So I feel so much better when I can do that. And it takes 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how much I focus. And what I like about it is that I do it at my pace. And so if I feel like I need that stretch a little bit deeper or a little bit longer, I take that time. If you've ever followed a fitness routine and somebody's choreographed the whole thing, and it's like, I feel like they don't spend a whole lot of time with stretching. And even when they do, it may not be the things that I need to stretch, so I like that I've developed something for me. And again, I feel energized, I feel strong and ready to start the day. And then the other thing I've been doing is the rebounder. And I don't necessarily like it, but I'm learning to like it. And if I put some good music on, I can bounce, bounce, bounce. I can march, I can jog, I can kind of dance. You got to be careful if I don't want to fall off of it or step in the wrong area, whatever. But that is what's really burning those calories for me. And using the MyFitnessPal app makes me accountable. So now it's like, when you log in your exercise, you get more calories to eat. So a few weeks ago, we talked about optimum calories. There was that, it was a program on a computer site where you plug in your age, your gender, your activity level, your height, maybe, I don't know, a couple of different things. And then and your weight. Okay. And it tells you how many calories you should eat per day to maintain that weight. And then if you want to lose weight, you can decrease that by 20%. And so that's what I've done. And I put that number in there. And then when I start burning calories, it gives me more for maintaining, but I don't always eat those calories, because if I do, then I'm just going to, if I can stick to the original 1500 instead of, maybe they give me 1700, 1800, or when I golf, I get a lot more. But if I stick to the original, I'm going to lose a little faster because more calories are going out and I'm still eating the same balanced diet. So since I started using MyFitnessPal and been accountable for writing in everything that I eat, my exercise, and it logs my water, all of that stuff, I have lost 7 pounds in 3 weeks. And before that, it's been, I think I have a total of 16 right now. The previous 9 pounds took me from May until the end of July. So like almost 2.5 months. And in 3 weeks, I've lost almost as much, not quite, but so I truly believe in being accountable and like tracking what you're eating. Now, that being said, one of the diet pitfalls is not being accurate with that. Like thinking you are not eating as much as you're eating, or the portion size or the calories. If you overestimate how many calories that you're eating or how many calories you're burning, your numbers aren't going to be accurate and your results are not going to be accurate. And then that's just going to be depressing, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say with that little, that app you were talking about. You have to be honest when going into there, about your activity level. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not honest about your activity level, it might not do you a whole lot of good, but if you're honest going into it, and you might just ride your bike around the block or something, and that's it for your day, and you put moderate or whatever on there. It's not really moderate if you're just kind of pedaling slow and you do 1 block. That's kind of a low, low intensity or low amount of what you're doing.
I think honesty is the best policy anyway.
And no one else is really going to. No one else is going to really see that but yourself. So just be honest with yourself. That's what you have to do.
Yeah, when you set it up.
When you set it up.
I think you said before about not eating enough calories and not getting enough nutrients. I think that is protein, you don't get enough protein, you don't get enough fiber. I think we get too much fat. I think that is the big thing, because that has been another turning point for me. Try as I might, it's hard to cook without olive oil, and I'm trying to learn methods to do that. And I have, but I still love the olive oil. But
And I
it
think
adds so much, no nutritious value, and yet lots of fat and calories. So if you can cut out fat and that's the only thing you do in your new lifestyle, you're going to be way ahead of the game.
Mhm. And it's the type of fats too, either bad fats or good fats or whatever. Sure, it's great to lower that amount of fat, like you just said, whether it's olive oil, avocados, or nuts that have, that are raw nuts, not salted or anything, or, roasted with anything. So if you can cut those fats down, that's great. But
Right.
we do need some of those good fats, just not an extraordinary amount.
I'm talking about
Crazy.
oil. I'm saying if you can cut oil out of your life, you are going to lose weight, because it's everywhere. And you go to a restaurant, and I went to a vegan restaurant the other night because I had to pick up Dick from the airport. So we went to Orlando, and now you have more choices. There weren't a whole lot of choices for vegan, but there was more. And so we went to this vegan restaurant, and I ordered some green beans as an appetizer. They were amazing, but they were sauteed in olive oil, and they had like tamari sauce on them and some sesame seeds. I mean, they were delicious. I ate every single one of them. But
so I think,
all that
like being
oil.
vegan or whatever, if you're not doing it for losing weight and following that thing for losing weight, that's a lifestyle for people to be vegetarian or vegan or whole food, plant-based kind of eating plans. That's an actual lifestyle. So, but you still have to watch, like you said, you went to a vegan restaurant thinking, it's great, I can have anything I want, but not necessarily when you're talking about the caloric level or
Right.
the fat level.
Right.
So,
Or the health level, really. I mean,
yeah,
veganism does not equal
healthy.
healthy. It depends on the person and how they do their,
Their vegan lifestyle,
Their
making
vegan
those
lifestyle.
choices.
Right. Because just like going on a diet, if you indulge in all those low fat or diet foods, they're cutting the sugar. Yeah. But, check out the sodium or check out the other nutrients that are in there,
Mhm.
because if you want it to taste good, they got to put something good in there.
Yeah, I think
Otherwise you're
low
eating.
fat usually means, when I see it on a package for a diet food, I think low fat means higher in sugar, because where's the taste coming from? You get a lot of your taste from your fats, right? In prepared foods, processed foods, is
Right.
what I'm talking
And
about.
sodium.
And sodium. So if you're going low on your fats, they're increasing, they probably are increasing the sodium as well as the sugar.
Yep, absolutely. And the thing with a vegan lifestyle is that some vegans are not doing it for health reasons, they do it for ethical reasons. And so they will eat anything that isn't from an animal.
Right.
Any animal product, which means that they might indulge in some of those Impossible burgers, and they begin to eat a lot of processed foods. So that is the pitfall for the vegan lifestyle, is to just because you're not eating meat doesn't mean you can eat processed foods carte blanche, because that stuff is really unhealthy for you.
Right,
That's another one. Get rid of oils and get rid of processed foods, and you'll be doing yourself a big favor, and your weight will probably go down, because those processed foods, we looked in the labels, right? There's so much crap in there. That's gonna, that's not good for you. It just gives you calories and not good nutrition, no matter what it says on the label, because we know the labels can be wrong, right, Mary? Up to
Misleading.
20%. Yeah, misleading, and 20% inaccurate. They can be.
Yes. And if you can't pronounce it, you shouldn't eat it.
Right. Unless you have a learning disability and you can't read in general, no. That was
I
about,
was just
Some of
looking
those
through my
things, yeah.
vegan recipes here that are raw vegan recipes. And the people that put this together did it for healthful reasons as well. When we were at that Alternative Cancer Institute for my husband. And everything in here is, you know, they really don't have a whole lot of oils. I mean, you might see like a no bean chili where it's walnuts, portobello mushrooms, red onions, and things like that, but they have like 1 teaspoon of extra virgin olive oil. That's not just for one serving. That was for a good amount.
right,
You know, I mean, it wasn't for a big pot, but enough to feed both of us and to have an extra meal
right.
out of it. So yeah, there's a
I don't
lot of
think-
things.
Yeah, I think you can eliminate oil completely, but I don't think it's gonna hurt to have something like that, you know, a tablespoon in a huge pot
Right.
of something. Another thing that people do is they continue to drink sugar. So they might cut out soda and go to diet soda, which is a whole nother issue on its. I'm not even going to debate that. I've pretty much, if I'm going to drink soda, I'll drink a Coke. I won't drink a Diet Coke or anything like that because diet sodas are not good for you. And so if I'm going to indulge, which is extremely rare, I'll just drink the Coke and be done with it. But even if you cut all of those things out and you're still drinking fruit juice, you're drinking a heck of a lot of calories because, you know, I don't know the exact figure, but if you had a glass of orange juice, you're talking about the juice from, you know, 6 to 8 oranges versus eating an orange, right? You wouldn't sit down and eat 6 to 8 oranges. So it's way too many carbs. And so that should be done in moderation, like either cut. We don't drink a lot of juice. We keep orange juice on hand if Dick's diabetes, you know, he gets low blood sugar or something, but we generally have stopped that as well. And juice cleanses. It's like, you might be able to talk a little bit about this, but like if you're on a juice cleanse, you are getting a lot of juice and a lot of carbs and a lot of sugar in there. But you do some juice cleanses, don't you, Kath?
We've done juice cleanses through Clean Juice. And of course, they have their calories monitored for what they're giving you each day for your juices. Before that, we have only done green juice cleanses where there was 1 apple, which was, I mean, in the whole, like, I don't know how many quarts came out of it, but we would juice kale, spinach,
Cucumber.
Granny Smith apple. I mean, we would do all these different green type stuff in there and just drink green juice the whole day. Now that wasn't very high in calories because really the only thing in there that gave us higher amount of calories was a lemon and the apple. The other stuff was strictly greens in there, cucumber, you know, different things like that, broccoli. I mean, just all greens.
Right.
So that was done more for a healthful type cleanse and to reduce inflammation in your body. Clean Juice does a great thing too. They, you know, they have a specific beet juice and a specific, you know, they do 2 green juices, a beet juice, like something that adds, it's more of like a turmeric and maybe they might add some carrots in it. I'm not sure exactly. But yeah, I've done that as well, but I only do that for a few days. And it's just to clean your system. It's not to make you lose weight. Juice cleanses are not for losing weight at all because you're not getting all the other nutritious things you need to do. And if you're going on a juice cleanse for more than a few days, you need to talk to your doctor about it because depending on what issues you may have or medications you're taking, you don't want to do that.
Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, we used to have a juicer a long time ago, but you know, it was just too much fruit all at once. And boy, is that machine hard to clean. So
Yes.
And I'm
And
basically lazy. I didn't want
it
to have
took me at least an hour to do it when Rich was helping me cut up and wash and clean and everything, to wash and clean the vegetables before putting them in there. But if I did it myself, it was a 2-hour process to give us enough juice for a day and a half.
Wow. I just saw another one. Saving up your calories. So like, you're going out to dinner, so you're very stingy with your calories all throughout the day because you want to save them for this dinner that you're having. Okay, is that a good idea?
I don't think so.
What do you think happens?
I don't know.
Well, you're not
Yep.
really burning off those calories, right?
Well,
I mean,
that's
if
a
you're eating
good
them
point,
late in the day,
right?
that's one of the things, right?
I hadn't thought about that, but the one of the reasons they say that is not that you shouldn't do that is like you're skipping meals. By the time you get to that special meal that you've been saving your calories for, you're ravenous and you're going to eat a lot more. And so you think you've saved, 1,000 calories, but really you end up eating 1,500 or 2,000 calories
Right.
or whatever. I mean, calories are tricky. They are so tricky. When you think oh, that can't be more than 1,000 calories. Have you looked at some of the menus that post their calories? I look at that now when, like, if we're ordering out, Beef Brady's is around the corner, and I look at something, my husband goes, I'm going to order that. I'm like, I said, that meal has 1,500 calories all by itself. And he's like, oh, I better choose something else. Sometimes he goes, I don't care. But, but it adds up. So you end up eating more. And Kathy's point is you don't have a chance to burn any of that off. I mean, unless you were running a marathon in the morning, but
Right.
then you're going to collapse with no energy.
But even I know you said some of the places actually put the calories in their menu.
Right.
Just walking into a Starbucks and look up at that board. Some of those are pretty darn high in calories. I mean, the way to like maybe trim down some of that, I mean, in their larger drinks, they put like 6 pumps of whatever their syrup is in there or more. And then plus they add, the whole milk, which, okay, whole milk is good for you, but the amount that you're getting and the amount of fat in there, it's just so, I mean, in the past, when I'd walk in and I'd say, I'd like a latte, can you only put in 1 pump of syrup in there?
Right.
Then I don't feel as bad.
Right.
But it's better than 4 pumps in there or 6 pumps, whatever they're adding to it.
Right. That's crazy.
So that's just one way. And then I'll say, oh, do you have almond milk? Use almond milk in it instead of.
Right. Yeah. Using a plant-based milk, if it's a good quality one, but you don't have a choice when you're there.
Right.
But yeah, I would disagree that whole milk is good for you. But I'm on a whole different journey now with this. And
I know people do think whole milk is good for them. That's why I threw that out there. Some people feel that it is. I personally don't drink whole milk.
well,
I
was just watching this video. It's a movie, it's a documentary, and it's about whole food, plant-based eating and what it can really do for your health. Besides losing weight, because it's not really why we're doing it. We're doing it for our health, to improve our health. But in this video, they make this point that I've made in other times, that a cow's milk is intended for a calf. After that calf grows up, that calf doesn't continue to drink the milk, and a woman breastfeeding, we feed our babies, but it comes to a point where we wean them and they don't drink our milk anymore. So why would we think it's okay for us to drink the milk that was intended for the cow's baby, and that we drink that? Now, we've found all kinds of wonderful things to do with that milk, and it tastes good, but it wasn't intended for us. And that's why there becomes problems for us when we eat and drink dairy products. But if
Right.
you want to know, that movie is called you die, don't die. Eating You Alive is what it's called. I had to keep, I know the words that are in it, and then I didn't remember how it went. Eating You Alive. And I found it for free on YouTube. There's a couple of other, like if you were searching for it, there's a couple of trailers on there too, but it is on YouTube. If you want, I'll post it in the comments. And
Right.
my husband and I are going to sit down and watch. I'm going to watch it again because he wasn't here when I watched it. And I feel like there's way too much information in there that I don't want to have that all by myself. I want him to have that knowledge so that it's not me just nagging on him about lifestyle changes, but that he understands it a lot better and that he's willing and ready to make those changes, because it's very compelling, very powerful. But
We are the only species though, aren't we, that drinks another species milk?
yeah,
I think you're right, Mary.
yep.
Nobody else none of
Well,
animals don't drink anyone else's milk.
I think there are, what is it, not substitute, what do you call that? I can't think of the word, but it's like substitute. Like sometimes if a mother dies, like a cat might go to a goat for milk or something. I don't know. I've seen some weird things like that where a different animal will help nurse the offspring of an animal who's no longer, who died or isn't there or abandoned. But I think it's still only in infancy, only when they are young. And then nobody drinks the milk of mammals once they've come of age, or whatever that age is, I should say.
Once they can eat real food, like
Right.
hay and stuff like that.
Right. Let's see, a couple of other things. Dieting pitfalls, vague goals. So not really knowing what you're doing, I guess. Being overly restrictive, because that you can't sustain that. If you are so strict and you don't allow yourself any leeway, it's impossible to stick to that for very long, and you're going to eventually go and fail and turn to a bag of chips or whatever. So I think you cut yourself a break, right? Figuring out where your parameters are and then allowing some mistakes from time to time. And focusing on, I can't have that. I can't have that. I can't have that. Because there are so many more opportunities where you can say, oh, I can have that. If I just tweak this, there are so many possibilities. And that's what I'm finding out, that the support group that I'm using on Facebook, the whole foods,
Plant-based.
whole food, plant-based diet, lifestyle for beginners, something like that. I find that's very helpful because there's a lot of people that are sort of starting, but there's people who have been doing it for a while. There's a former nurse and a nutritionist that are on there supporting people and guiding them in the right direction. But people are sharing recipes, and I discovered soy curls that were amazing. Jackfruit, which I'd never tried before. So there's some things that can kind of imitate meat, but they're still pretty healthy and not processed. And so, look for the support. Don't do it by yourself. Look for some support, and don't focus on what you can have, but look for those opportunities of all the things that you have been missing out on. When we started doing Purple Carrot, that is a meal plan, delivery plan kind of thing, where they deliver the food and then you cook it up and follow their recipe.
Mhm.
Purple Carrot is totally vegan, not necessarily whole food, because some of the things, like they use vegan mayonnaise and vegan butter, and you go, what is that anyway? But that was the way we started a few years ago. Then we went off of it when we moved down here. So we're going back to it. But there were all kinds of recipes. Like, these are amazing, delicious foods that I had never even heard of before. So if you're not sure, if you want to start something like that, get that purple carrot plan, because then you're going to discover a whole bunch of new things. And we don't do it, every week anymore, because we're starting to use what we're learning and trying to apply that ourselves. Because at first, when I cut out all the meat, it's like I cut out meat and cut out oil. I'm like, how do I cook and what do I cook? And because it like everything I knew about cooking went out the window. But we're getting better. We're getting better. And meals don't have to look the same. In the past we had, the protein, and we had a couple of vegetables or maybe a starch or something like that. And that was our plate. But a, a whole food, plant-based food plate doesn't have to look the same. It can be a bowl of rice with vegetables thrown in and maybe something for protein. Like, it doesn't have to look the same. And that's what I have to like kind of get into my mindset, so that I don't keep trying to imitate what we were doing before, but open ourselves up to something new. But I've been talking a lot about that. You got another one that was a favorite for you, or something that you can,
Something that I can contribute? Let's see. I don't know.
or just be like something that's happened? I
think-
know under diet disasters, skipping breakfast, I'm
Right.
so guilty of that.
Me
But
too.
I don't want to eat in the morning. So I need to I need to figure out my schedule, because like today I got up and I didn't even have coffee. Sometimes I have my coffee, and the coffee will get me through the morning. And then, maybe about noon or 1 o'clock, I might eat something. And sometimes I get myself so busy just drinking coffee and water that I forget to eat till 2 or 3, and I'm not hungry. And I don't think that's a bad thing once in a while, but I need to make myself eat something, even if it's not like a full breakfast, because then I think about what we talked about a few weeks ago of eating breakfast like a king, and lunch like a working man, and dinner like a pauper, because you get the most of your calories so that you can use them during the day and burn them, and then fewer at night because you don't have as much activity after dinner, right?
Right.
But all of these things, like, my mind is blown, and I have a hard time getting around it. But
And I also think like planning ahead too, if you know you're going somewhere, like with me for family parties, I know what they usually put out for us for family parties. So if it was something my husband and I couldn't eat, I would prepare something at home, and then I would make a dessert that was allowed,
mhm,
and I would take that, but would make sure that, I cut our 2 pieces out of that dessert first. And so many times the dessert that I made that was a healthy vegan dessert went
Right.
first.
right, right,
And not because it was a small, like I'd do a whole, thing about this big, and I'd cut our 2 little pieces out of there and put it aside. So I knew that's what we were going to have for dessert while everyone else was eating whatever. But the vegan dessert went as well. I didn't tell them what it was, but they thought,
Right.
well, if you're eating it, it must be okay. you know?
right,
But I
right.
think just planning ahead on that, or planning ahead, if you're going out to a restaurant, check out the menu before you go there. I mean, we have the internet now, so it's fantastic. And most of the restaurants will put their menus on the internet,
And
on
if
their
not, there
website.
are other sites that have collected their menus, so you can
Right.
find almost anything.
Yeah, and so you can find something and base your decision on where you're going that, yeah, we can eat at this restaurant. It's not crazy, or it's not overly, you know,
Mhm,
we have good choices there.
right. And with planning ahead, I think that can even be expanded, like, eat before you go to the grocery store, have a list and stick to it, and then bring the things that you need that are going to be healthy into your home and prep them, right?
Mhm.
Because if you have all these healthy foods, but you can't eat it because it's not in the form that you're going to eat it in, like, prep ahead. When we
Mhm.
started our first 1 week, um the 7-day rescue diet to get us on board for Whole Foods, um I made a big huge pot of oatmeal, so that we could scoop it out and heat it up, every morning. I made a little breakfast bar for other things like nuts and raisins and stuff like that. I cooked rice and quinoa. I chopped up vegetables and had them all ready so you could just pull them out and make a salad or a wrap. Like having things at the ready so that you don't have to deal with
Think
like
about
physical
preparing.
exhaustion, mental exhaustion. I don't know what to eat. And then you pull out a stick of butter and eat that, don't want to do that. Planning ahead means surrounding yourself with the healthy things that you want to eat and that you can eat so that they're ready. All right. Anything else on the list? Because we have had a lovely discussion this morning. And hydrate. Remember to drink a lot of water, because a lot of times when you're dehydrated, that feels like you're hungry, and then you end up eating instead of drinking. So water, 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 water. Don't do anything extreme, cutting out a whole food group. I think keto diet is extreme. I think it might be helpful to do it for a short period of time, but use it as a springboard to get you into healthy eating. I don't think anything is sustainable with the word diet in it.
I agree.
Research what you're going to do first, know what you're doing. This one about influencing others, it says, think about the people you spend the most time with. They probably look like you. So you could be, if you're a social person and you're out and about all the time, you could be influenced by the people around you. Oh, let's go for that drink, or how about let's get some dessert or whatever. So you have to kind of pay attention to that when you're dieting, especially, right? They talk about exercising too much. If you're always exercising, that a lot of times people can justify, well, I spent 2 hours on the treadmill, so I can eat those 2 donuts, and that's not equal. That's not good.
And don't forget too, with people that over exercise, then they're creating more inflammation in their body. So you have to think of it in a healthy way of whatever your exercise is, your eating plan is. Think, how am I helping my body when you pick up your fork, or how is this nutritious for me? Not that everybody's going to think that, but or ask yourself the question, is this really nutritious? Or am I doing myself some damage?
And I think the last thing is realistic expectations. I mean, if
Right.
you have a lot of weight to lose, think about how long it took you to get there, and it's going to take you a long time to take it off too. So have realistic expectations. Don't say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds this month. Probably not going to happen. And then you feel like a failure. And if you had more realistic expectations, like, okay, I'm going to lose 5 pounds this month. It sounds like, oh man, then it's going to take me forever to lose those 50 pounds. But if you stick to it, next year, you'll be 50 pounds, 60 pounds later. So if you just be realistic. All right. Any last words?
Be kind to yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Yeah. And think health and lifestyle over, just trying to lose weight for the sake of losing weight for appearance. Think about improving your quality of life through your health. And that'll make the difference, I think.
Exactly.
Things. All right. I think we're done.
Thank you for joining us, Mary.
Yeah, Mary.
Thank you for
As
having
always,
me.
love you. We love you having you here, because now we don't feel like we're just talking to each other, which we do all week anyway.
And not just joining us, contributing to this too. We appreciate that.
I try.
All right. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Saturday on Saturday Zoom.
Sounds good.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.